What's good, y'all? It's your boy Sean Peter Bluff guy. Hey! And we back with another chapter reaction stream where we will be reacting to One Piece chapter 1045. Let me get the name. Next level. Yeah, man, y'all just that was a weird intro right there. Like I just come on taking the headphones off, like, and that was a little weird. I know. I get the optics. I get the optics, y'all. I get the optics. It was I would say the third best plot twist of the year. You know, the number one plot twist being the fact that Marshall D. Preach and Wizard of Oz both, merged their channels, right? Second one being the whole Chris Rock and Will Smith situation, and then that'd be the third one, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but let me stop, y'all. Let me stop. All right, so yeah, we're gonna be pretty much discussing the next chapter, and I think I've done a good job this week, right? This week of avoiding spoilers, right? Of avoiding spoilers because it's a lot out there, especially these last few chapters. A lot of people get overly excited and they just want to talk about it right there and then, and they don't really think about people who, wait for the official, I guess. We're in the back of people's minds, so it is what it is, though. I'm not here to complain about that. I'm just saying. But before I get into that, make sure y'all hit that like button. Also subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we have the One Piece Discord and the One Piece Facebook group if you are looking to be part of a One Piece community. And I also do reaction videos, or I also react to other One Piece YouTube content creators. So if y'all want me to react to something, you know what I'm saying? Y'all want me to react to something, send it to me. We got especially the Discord. The Discord is the best place to send me content to react to, right? And there's that. But yeah, so let me check this chat. We got Angel's Room in the building. He said, "Yo, 13 minutes left." my man was in the stream before I was in the stream. Shout out to Angel's Room though. Shout out to Angel's Room. He was here. He was here before I was here. For real, for real. If he was here 13 minutes before the stream, man, I was still getting ready for it and everything. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. So we're back doing this reaction format. If you've been following me for a long time, if you've been following my videos for a long time, I will usually discuss. I usually like read the chapters before the streams and then I discuss the chapter. But last Sunday, or the last chapter, which I think dropped last Sunday if I remember correctly. We actually did a live reaction. I pretty much reacted my initial reaction to the chapter live on stream. So I was like, you know what? I kind of like doing that, right? I kind of enjoyed it. So we're going to do it again. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do it again. And maybe from here on out, proceeding, we'll probably do these live streams. At least if I can help it. But yeah, anyway, let's get into the chapter, man. Let's get into this chapter. All right. Let me give me mouth a little dry. All right, so we get the cover page, right? Nice actual color spread of the Straw Hats, where we see Luffy in the middle, right? He got his shorts on, but he got like a straw hat shirt with the number looks to be 56, right? Now that might mean something, but again, this is my initial reaction, so I'm not. A lot of people got a lot of time to sit on this and kind of dissect this cover page. Me, this is kind of my first look at the cover page, so I can't really sit here and dissect it too much. But we get Luffy with this Straw Hat shirt. It got like the number 50, what it looks to be 56 on the sleeves, right? And Jinbei is all the way to the left, and he's steering the ship, being the helmsman he is. Then we get Chopper, seem to be just cheering, with his hands up. Robin behind Chopper, in between Chopper and Luffy, pretty much doing her ability that we kind of see further on the right, but I'll get to that. And right under Chopper, we get Zoro, who's kind of like outside of this little window, right? Like we see all the Straw Hats within this window, and Luffy and Zoro are both the only ones and Usopp as well. They're outside the window, right? Zoro got like this little fox, this little green fox on his lap sleeping, where we see Zoro kind of peeking at Luffy, look like he's trying to sleep, but everybody waking him up. Then we get like this little purple and white cat under Luffy's left arm with sunglasses. And then to the right of that, we got Nami. To the right of Nami, she just, posing with her hair. Brook kind of reaching out. To the right of Brook, Sanji looking at Nami while he's holding on to Usopp, who's also outside of this window, seeming to be reaching out to the Straw Hat, right? Like to not lose the Straw Hat. We also got Frankie reaching out for the Straw Hat as well, but Robin seems like she pretty much caught the Straw Hat using her ability. We see her to the left of Luffy, right? So, and above Luffy, right? Above Luffy, we get text saying Sea of Liberty. Now, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of speculation on what that may be pointing to, right? The Sea of Liberty, right? The Sea of Freedom. We the last few chapters we've been getting a lot of talk about the drums of liberty, right? Especially after Luffy's defeat from Kaido and before he became Nika or Joy Boy, right? Before he became Joy Boy. So the Sea of Liberty, I'm assuming that really means something, right? Sea of Freedom. If you kind of translate it, the Sea of Freedom. And when we've talked a lot about it, right? We talked a lot about the end goal of the story being to pretty much unite the ocean, make it a more free ocean. Because right now, when we look at these oceans, when we look at the blues, each blue in the Grand Line, they're all segregated, right? They're all segregated with the red line, with the Grand Line and the Calm Belt. The East Blue, West Blue, North Blue, South Blue. They're all separated by the Grand Line and the Red Line. So, if we were able to destroy the Red Line, that would unify all the seas, also creating the all blue, right? And that will make the seas a lot freer, right? Sea of Liberty. That's kind of what I'm getting from that, right? That's kind of what I'm getting from that. But it could also mean other things as well. Angel's Room said, "I'm back," and he says the 56 is from his childhood, and some people think his final bounty gonna be 5,600,000,000 berries. Okay. All right, so I mean, that's something that we could probably talk about more. I think I kind of talked a lot about this cover page, but that's that kind of seemed like that might be a discussion in itself within the maybe after the chapter, right? So, but yeah, let's definitely talk more about the 56 if there's more meaning to it, because you said it's about his childhood, so I'm curious to go more in depth about that, right? So yeah, so that's the cover page. A nice little. We got a break from the cover story, and we got a Straw Hat cover spread. But let's continue. All right, One Piece, chapter 1045, next level. All right, so we get somebody with the wheeze, and then they're saying, "I was certain that you were dead." So I'm assuming this is Kaido speaking, right? Because you know he's talking to Luffy because we thought Luffy was dead, right? So Luffy, he says, "Me too." Ah, ha ha ha. Given that you're transferring, or no, this is Kaido now. He says, "Given that you're transferring your rubber power to other things, I suppose I could interpret this is the awakening of the Paramethea." It's weird how it's spelled. Maybe it's kind of a lisp of Kaido being in dragon form, right? Because he says Paramethea, like kind of like, people with like a lisp, right? Instead of Paramecia, he said Paramethea, right? And he says, but something doesn't add up. And he says, body transformations like that are a trademark of Zone powers. Okay. And then we get Luffy with a and Kaido look like he about to just gobble up Luffy, right? Next page. Kaido is pretty much like he eats Luffy, right? Or he bites Luffy, bites down on Luffy, and we see Luffy in the in like his mouth, right? And then Luffy says, "Why you?" Or hold on. I think this is Kaido because Luffy kind of has like a very unique text while he's in this form, right? He got like his own unique text. So I think this is Kaido. He says, "Why you?" And then we get a chomp, right? As like Kaido actually like biting down and a gulp. So Kaido swallows Luffy, right? Kaido seemingly swallows Luffy. And then we get a panel of like Kaido like kind of wheezing like, and then we get Luffy kind of bouncing around in Kaido's stomach. I'm assuming he's turning Kaido's like body into like a playhouse. Like he's turning Kaido's stomach to a playhouse, and we get a gum, right? So okay, at this time, the text of Luffy is still normal, right? It's normal. It's not that playful Nika text. And then he says gum balloon, and he expands within Kaido. It's kind of weird that like we still get Luffy pretty much using the gum vernacular, and he's not saying like Nika or like I don't know, I guess at this point it's Luffy's trademark to use gum, right? So, and that's part of the reason why I kind of like to keep it at the Gumma no Mi instead of calling it the Hito no Mi Nika version. Like the Gumma just rolls off the tongue a lot better too, right? And Kaido suffering with it with him in his body, right? Like Luffy doesn't expand it. Kaido probably feel like he about to burst open. And he says, you little. And then we get Yamato and Momonosuke kind of looking surprised. They're not too sure what's going on. Angel's Room said because he hasn't realized yet. You talking about Luffy while he's still using Gumu? I don't know if it even matters if he realizes it yet. I don't think he's gonna stop calling his techniques Gumu, no whatever. You know what I mean? I don't think that's going to change at this point. I think it's something that he's just used to saying, right? Unless he creates some new techniques, then maybe, right? But I think even when he uses his older techniques, like the gummel, like his pistol or whatever, I think he's still gonna call it the gummel gummel, whatever, whatever technique we're talking about. So Kyle pretty much suffered, right? And then we get someone saying, "What is that? What's happening? I don't understand. Kaido is getting fatter. Was that always one of his forms?" Okay, so this is Yamato talking. And Kaido says, "Curses, that's wrong with, or what's wrong with me? My body isn't made of rubber." This is Luffy turn. This looks to be Luffy turning Kaido into rubber. And he said, "Oh, I see two lights." Is that Kaido saying that? Or is that Luffy saying that? "Oh, I see two lights." Angel's Room said, "Yeah, he's gonna steal them gummel gummel because at the end of the day, Luffy just a rubber man." I mean, that's just what he's been. I think it's more of a just it's going to be natural for him to use that terminology. He's been doing it for so long, right? You can't just discover something new about what you've been pretty much using your whole life, right? Like the majority of your life you've been using these abilities and you've been calling them the gummel gummel whatever, and then now you get, even if he does learn the true name of it, I think he still will call it the gummel gummel because that's what he's been using, right? And then okay, so we get, I guess on the inside it says gummel gum, and then it's like Luffy is turning Kaido's eyes into his hands, right? Like he rubberfied Kaido's eyes to shapeshift to a degree and turn into hands and grab his nose, right? Like that's what it looks like. Unless he's actually sticking his hands through Kaido's eyes, which that makes sense as well, right? Like, cause if you turn Kaido's eyes rubber, so yeah, I think that's more so what's going on. He turned it to rubber, and then he used his hands to kind of stretch Kaido's eyes and grab his nose, and pretty much escape from Kaido's, inner prison, I guess, with the gum gum escape rocket, and we get him laughing, boy. And it says he while like Kaido or Luffy looks back at him, and a little confused what's going on this panel. It kind of looked like Luffy is flying into the cloud, right? Like he's using the air to shoot him into a cloud. Right? Like that's what it looked like. I'm a little confused. Angel's Room said, "Yeah, he's still gonna go." Yeah, I read that. He said, "Does that mean there was a race of rubber humans at some time?" I mean, you called him a rubber man. I think that's just a unique property of. I think that's a unique property of Nika. He was just rubberish, right? I don't think he come from a group of rubber people, or you know what I mean. Maybe, I mean, I don't know though. Maybe he could have. There could be a race. There's so many different races in One Piece as possible, but if that's the case, then I would probably say there's a bunch of people that's as strong as base Luffy, right? That can do the same things that base Luffy can do. So it looked like he's. Cube said throwback moves making a comeback. Shout out to Cube. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. We got Cube in the building. But yeah, so Luffy looks like he kind of like shot into the cloud, right? With the air within him after he did his escape rocket, you know. And then we hear Gum Gum, and we see somebody say, I think Kaido. Kaido says Luffy, and then we get Yamato and Momonosuke's faces, right? Like we get both of their faces, and they both look shocked at what they're seeing. Or is that Kaido? Is that Kaido or Yamato? Or Momonosuke? I want to say that's Momonosuke, right? And then we get what? We get Gum Gum Giants. So we get like a big giant Luffy. So okay, so shout out to all the speculations of like gigantification of Luffy, right? Like I know that they was out there heavy, you know. A lot of people talking about, you know, Luffy's awakening might give him like some giant form. Hey, we looking at it right here. We got a giant Monkey D. Luffy, you know, about to stomp on Kaido. Man, let me zoom in a little bit. That's probably why. All right, yeah. So, Kaido shocked at seeing this, right? He looking at Luffy shocked, and because you know Kaido not used to looking at, he not used to seeing people bigger than himself, right? He not like, I don't think Kaido's used to just looking up at somebody, you know, with the exception of, I'll say Big Mom's probably kind of bigger than Kaido, possibly just slightly bigger, you know, but he not used to just, but in his dragon form, I don't think many people, you know, I mean, I'm not saying nobody's bigger than Kaido in his dragon form, but, you know, there's not many people bigger than him, you know what I'm saying? Let me see what you guys talking about. Angel's Room said, yo, Q, what did you think about this chapter? Q said it was dope. Q said, sup, Angel. Really see it as a guy post-operation still feeling the amnesia. Oh, dang, man. You had operation? Hey, man, I did not. Hey, man. I'm glad you made it out. I'm glad you with us, man. He said, I feel that he'll get serious once the euphoria weakens a lot. Or weakens a bit. Oh, you talking about Kaido, like once Kaido, you talking about Kaido getting serious? Yeah, I don't think this is gonna be like just Luffy just like baby shaking Kaido at this point. I think it's about to get like turned to a real fight eventually. It's gonna have to. Like we might have to see some Kaido pull out some tricks that he ain't pulled out before. You know. Angel Room said Wino gave us the most Zenkai boost in One Piece, right? Q said, I mean Luffy's Gear 5. Oh, okay, I see. I thought you had started. I'm like, what? You didn't even tell us you was having no. All right, so Yamato said, what is that? And Momonosuke said, why do... Okay, so that okay, hold on, before I continue. That dragon I thought in the page before this, the one I wasn't sure, the one that was side by side with Yamato, that was my Momonosuke, because looking at the eyebrows, Kaido's eyebrows are way more fiery, and Momonosuke's eyebrows are like, kind of like straight, like they're rectangular at some points. Momonosuke says, why do I hear Luffy's voice coming from there? Is that him? And then we get Kaido biting Luffy, and like Luffy panicking, but you know he's just playing around. And then Luffy kind of grabs Kaido's like his horns, right? Like he grabs the horns, or like it looked like he's grabbing them, and then I'm assuming with the other hand he grabs Kaido's like body or neck, you know. And yeah, that's what he. Okay, so the other hand he grabs Kaido's tail. That's what it was. And then he started using Kaido as a jump rope. Wow, wow, god dang! He started using Kaido as a jump rope. Wow, that's messed up. God damn. And then Kaido, while being used as a jump rope, he opts for a blast breath, and he seemingly catches Luffy, because on the next panel we see like a charged Luffy falling, looking like he's falling off of Onigashima again. Man, he about to take another L already. Like Yamato says, "Oh no, he took the full brunt of that blast, of the blast breath." And then Luffy says, that does it. And he kind of uses like his legs as wheels, right? Like as little wheels, like he's driving through the air. Now, okay, is he turn? Okay, all right, okay. Now, I don't want to just chalk all of Luffy's abilities up to Toon Force. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of the abilities that Luffy has been showing can be actually attributed to his awakening, right? So we see Luffy running through the sky, like literally running through the sky. You know, not skywalking. So does this mean he's turning the air into rubber, right? And he's kind of like stepping on the air as if it was rubber. That's, or is this just like some Toon Force stuff? Maybe we'll get an explanation in the next page. But Cube, I call him QB. Yo, QB. Cube says Luffy seems to be in a state post of euphoria, like post operation. Not me, I am good. Yeah, like this could just be like this could be just like a something that's gonna wear off soon. It could be a very short term situation type thing, you know. Like maybe he could do enough damage to Kaido to kind of even the playing for field if it does indeed wear off. We got Sozo in the building. He says, "Yo, shout out to Sozo. What's good, Sozo? Welcome to the stream." All right, let's get to the next page, guys. Oh shoot, that's some wild stuff I just caught right there. Okay, so Kaido obviously, you know, I guess he was tired of kind of what Luffy, all the shenanigans Luffy was pulling in his dragon form, which I get though, because when you look at Kaido's dragon form, I feel as though it's kind of his most vulnerable form to a degree because he's a lot bigger, a bigger target. I don't think he's as I don't think it's his best form. I don't think he's as agile. You know, I don't think he can maneuver as easily because his body is so big, right? It's just a big old target. And I think, you know, I don't think it's his fastest form. So I think Kaido realized that he can't be dallying in that dragon form in this fight at this point, right? So, you know, I think his hybrid might be his better form. Maybe his base form, like the form we normally see at Kaido, maybe that's his weakest form, and his dragon is like his second weakest, you know, or second strongest. You know, like I'm not too sure, but I feel as though the dragon form can kind of be a detriment in some cases. You know, I could see it being like the best form for like big attacks, like when he's trying to cause the most destruction, because he could gather like all that that fire within the bigger body, you know what I'm saying? And he could accumulate it a lot better in the bigger body and make a blast a lot stronger. So I think in that form, I think that form is useful when creating like big attacks. But I think as far as defense, I don't know. I think it might be his weakest form. Cause it like, bro, like when we look at the beginning of Wano, we see Kaido. He was in his dragon form and he got caught by Luffy. And this was before Luffy had all his training and everything. So I think it's just kind of his most vulnerable form. So I think it probably best to go into a more serious form, such as your hybrid. Cube says, I feel he'll get serious just before he loses it. Put in 2 major hits on Kaido. Roger versus Whitebeard level damage. So you're talking about Luffy, not Kaido. I thought you were talking about Kaido getting serious. Desmond says, hello fellow pirates, how you doing? What an awesome week. I hope you like the chapter as much as I. And what the dog's doing. Hey man, the dog's doing the do, man. We reacting to the chapter right now. And then so okay, let's continue though. So now we get Cube. Now we get Cube in this hybrid form. God dang Cube, man. Come on, man. Now we get Kaido in his hybrid form. And Luffy goes in for an attack with the Gum. And Kaido says conquer of 3 worlds. So so he going in for his own attack, right? Ragnarok. And we see Kaido going for a Ragnarok, right? The conqueror of 3 worlds, Ragnarok. And I'm assuming Kaido catches Luffy. I'm assuming he catches Luffy and spikes him into the ground. Like, we don't really see him actually catch Luffy. So, but I'm assuming that's what happens. He catches Luffy, spikes him into the ground, and Luffy's head, like, because I think Luffy's not in his giant form at this point. Yeah, I don't think he's in, or is he? Is he in the giant form? Because maybe he's about the same size as Kaido. Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But his head, it goes through the top of the skull, shoots out, the eyes shoot out, right? His eyes shoot out, his tongue is like rippling. And then we get we see like we get the reaction of all the beast pirates, they're screaming, they're shocked. Then we get the reactions of Law, Kid, Chopper, Nami, and Otama, and all their eyes are popping out. All their eyes are popping out. Now, I don't know if this is Luffy's doing or if this is some type of gag Oda is showing, right? Because this wouldn't be like the first time Oda has done like a gag where it was super cartoonish, right? Where we get like when we got the Robin and Frankie and Usopp faces early in Wano, and they had like the weird the double chins going in and they're the crazy faces. That's kind of what I'm thinking Oda's kind of getting with that, but it's going along with this cartoon theme. So, I kind of think I think it's kind of a gaggish thing, cause maybe it's not, maybe it's something to do with this awakening, right? Maybe Luffy is really affecting the whole environment around him and not just specific things he want to affect, Maybe this is kind of a byproduct effect, So Luffy's face is pretty much stuck, and he pulls it out, and then pulling out, it kind of like smacks him. It smacks him back. So yeah, it looks like he's still in his giant form. It looked like he's still in the giant form because Kaido seems to be like smaller than him as he stands there. And he said, and Kaido says, it looks or it's like something from a comic strip. and Luffy smacks back. Seems like he got smaller. You know, I'm not too sure if Luffy's kind of like just like changing his size or what, right? Like y'all let me know in the chat. Is Luffy still big or is he at his normal size? So Luffy, you know, he says, you know, he's just sitting there. Oof. Kaido says, well, that was a very entertaining show. But you've reached your limit, haven't you? You cannot defeat me. And then Luffy says, shut up. With a D, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. And Luffy says, you kind of see Luffy's hair turning back black, right? And he says, who says I'm at my limit? Huff. But you slowly look at his transformation. He got this big old smile, and then more of his hair turned black, and it's not so much of a smile no more. And then you see the eyes kind of like start drooping, his tongue's drooping, and then the next time, his whole face is just real droopy, and he just looks like going. Luffy looks going. And Luffy says, I'm all tuckered out. And Kaido says, who are you? So now this kind of seemed like maybe that this whole time is not really Luffy, right? And I don't think we're gonna talk about this some more. Let me read the rest of this chapter before I kind of make any assumptions. And then Kaido says, "Who are you?" And Kaido's kind of like a little tired too. He's like huff. And then then Luffy says, "Oh yeah, I was dying before this. Wow, it takes a lot of energy." And then Kaido says, "You have my assurance. After you die, someone will tell the tale of your great battle." And Luffy says, "I don't need any of that. Once we're dead, the only thing that's left is bones. He. So it's kind of like he's transforming back. Seems like and he says, "It really is Luffy. It just didn't look like him because his hair and clothes turned white. But his voice is nearly dying out. This can't end yet. Momo, Tama, Kinemon," and then he even says Pedro. I wonder why he called out the Pedro. Like what? Pedro was random, but I guess he's also doing this for Pedro too for some reason. Even though Kaido has nothing to do with Pedro, right? And then Kaido says, "Whoa, no, careful, or you'll die." And then he says, "You actually think I'm afraid of that? Come on, heart, hit that beat." So he told his heart to hit that beat. And then Kaido says, "Very well then. Look out, Luffy," Yamato says. And Luffy looks and he sees like Kaido's club coming at him. So I guess Luffy, he's just kind of springing back up. Nika's springing back up. And Kaido's just going in for the attack, right? And Kaido catches Luffy right in the head, but it's like Luffy's head pretty much conforms to the shape of Kaido's club. It kind of reminds me of like Cuphead or something. Like, I mean, I never really like. I only seen a couple things from Cuphead. I never played the game, but it reminded me of Cuphead. Let me check this. Check the what you guys are saying. Cube says, "I'd say he's deflating. You can see from his sandals that he was still giant, but the next image he's back to normal. Yeah, he's kind of like, yeah, I think that what it might be, right?" So Yamato says, "What?" And then we see Luffy like run off with his head in the shape of the indention that Kaido's club made, you know. And so Kaido goes in for another swing, and he catches Luffy. He actually in hitting Luffy, I guess the ground, like Luffy is also turning the ground rubber below him, because the ground is also kind of going in like it's pressing in like rubber, right? And then he like pops up, he like springs up like a spring, and you see an indention in Luffy's head, and he's like squashed, right? He's squashed, and he kind of, I kind of want to say he's like a whale, and he goes into he goes into a mountain, and or not a mountain, but like a rock, and counts 3, 2, 1, and springs off of that rock back at Kaido, and he says 0, and he's like rotating his arms, pretty much. Like he's spinning his bodies to kind of like a propeller with his fist, right? And then we get Kaido says, "What does all of this mean?" He turns all white. He used the colors of armament and the Supreme King and can transfer his powers to other things. I've never seen such free-willing combat before. There is no one in this world who can defeat me, Kaido says. Hey, I mean, hey, Kaido specifically says there is no one in this world that can defeat me. That's a lot. And then Luffy is pretty much spinning his fists and catches Kaido right in the face, and you see Luffy's fist pretty much like going through Kaido's face, right? Because you know Luffy's turning Kaido's face into rubber, and he's punching like into the rubber face. He decks Kaido, and he says, "Isn't this fun, Kaido?" And then we get a to be continued. It doesn't say break, but you know, I don't know. I would have to check. Let me check. Let me check my app, because it usually tells me when I go to the thing. It said, okay, yeah, so we got a chapter in 7 days, according to Shonen Jump. You know, that can always change. You know, maybe one of y'all got like the schedule, so one of y'all might know, right? One of y'all might know. Angel's Room said Luffy basically elastic now. I mean, he's always been elastic. He's just, I guess, more elastic. You know, and he could turn other things elastic. Man. This chapter, so much to talk about in this chapter. Let me. I gotta collect myself and get a swig of water. Before I go in on this chapter. Okay. So, there's a few things, right? There's a couple things to talk to. I'm trying to figure out where I want to start with this, because usually that's kind of like the one advantage of reading before I could plan my points, right? After I read, it's kind of hard to just be like, because it's so much that happened and so much to talk about. Okay, so one thing we get confirmation on. One thing we get confirmation on is Luffy could pretty much Well, I mean, we got it. We got confirmation. We got confirmation last chapter too, but we get a more in depth confirmation this chapter. Luffy could really pretty much change everything around his environment. You know, like we kind of expect. You know that we seen from Prometheus, right? Like we seen from Katakuri, that we seen from Doflamingo. But it's so much more than just that, though. You know, because when we see Katakuri and Doflamingo, they're awakening, right? They can pretty much affect the environment, the inorganic environment around them. They could turn buildings. Doflamingo could turn buildings into string. Katakuri could turn the walls into mochi. You know, but we've never seen them actually affect anything organic, right? Like body parts. You know, Luffy, on the other hand, last chapter we've seen him pretty much pull the ground, bounce, turn the rubber and bounce blasts right back at Kaido. Now you can probably say that like the whole when Luke like last chapter Kaido eyes popped out. Maybe that was also Luffy's awakenings doing as well. But I think this chapter did a better job confirming it, right? Like his ability to affect inorganic things, even so much as at the point where Luffy almost fell off of Onigashima again, but then he pretty much used the sky as a road, right? Like he turned his legs into wheels to a degree similar to wheels, and he just ran, kind of like you see in cartoons when they run when they are about to fall off a cliff and then they run back, So it's kind of like that. Now, I think that could be a case of him possibly affecting the air around him. So he can probably even turn the air into rubber and use the air as something to walk on or run on, right? So I think I think we get a little more in depth of his ability, right? He was inside of Kaido. He turned Kaido's eyes into, he made him elastic, and he was able to pretty much stretch his hand out, grab Kaido's nose, and use it to slingshot himself out of Kaido. Bro, that's wild. It's like, bro, where do we go with this ability? How do we keep this ability in check, right? How do we keep this ability in check? Cube said Luffy's awakening theory: 1, bounce castle; 2, giant; 3, vulcanization. Hold on. You out here using words I got. Okay, I get what you're saying. So yeah, good point. Yeah. Q Angel's Room said, personally, this chapter took away any tension of Luffy struggling against another opponent. I could see that worry. And that's why I believe that this new transformation needs some type of check and balance. I disagree with you, but I can see the fear. I feel as though there's only really two. I believe that this new power up made it a little harder for Oda to write here on out. But I like to think that Oda kind of had something planned for it, right? How to keep it from, how to avoid what you're saying, right? And maybe there's like a big drawback to the ability, and maybe it would never get, maybe that drawback will always be around. Like every time he goes there, he's, and that's kind of why I want to talk about this chapter, because I think this chapter may actually set up some things to kind of actually avoid what you're talking about. And I'm gonna get into that though. I'm gonna get into that. Uh, let me just finish. We could. I'm about to get into it right now, and I just want to finish these these chats. Cube says Oda yes, and the Angel Room said Luffy versus Kaido has basically become Luffy versus Arlong. I disagree with that. And Cube said, well, I mean, I'm not going to just expand on what you mean. Expand on what you mean. Why is it Luffy versus Arlong? Cube said exactly. Back to the OG fight of One Piece that changed everything. And the Angel Room said Luffy was testing how strong he was against Arlong, and he's doing the same thing against Kaido. And by the way, Don Krieg pirates would destroy Arlong's crew. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's a that's a whole different discussion. I'm not even going to expand on that. But okay, so I'm kind of thinking. I'm really trying to find something here, guys. So, one thing that's been on my mind, there's this idea that or not the idea, but I'm kind of starting to really go back and go back even more strongly on the idea that this is indeed a possession. What? I'm starting to get on board with like still with the possession, right? Because when we look sorry, y'all, I had somebody calling me on Discord. I'm like, bro, I'm in the middle of a stream. Cause this part, right? I'm acting like y'all can see my screen, right? But okay, so man, it's just so much to go. It's so much to talk about this chapter. So there was the part where Momonosuke said, "I can hear Luffy's voice in there." So now they didn't know if that was Luffy for sure. So he just kind of assumed that could be Luffy or not, right? Looks different. But even then, when we go further in the chapter, and I'm sorry. I'm really trying. It's just so much. I'm trying to form my thoughts. I'm trying to Oh, Q said, "Oh, it's you." Thought my phone was going crazy. Yeah, yeah, like that was my Discord ringing. Somebody was calling me on Discord, so I'm like, bro, I'm sitting here doing this stream. But let's talk about the check. Let's talk about the checks and balances, right? With Luffy. Now, let's talk about how he got in this form. Maybe this form isn't something Luffy can access willingly, right? From here on out. So maybe it's like something he has to be near death to achieve. Like I could see that possibly being a way that Oda keeps it in check to make it to where he can't just go into Nika form at whenever he wants. Like maybe it's something that it's like a last resort type situation. Or maybe it's a situation where like every time he uses it, his life force gets reduced significantly. Cause I kind of look at the scene on here when Kaido says, "Oh, you're about to die," right? Or you're at your limit, right? He says, "You're at your limit. You cannot defeat me." And he says, "Hey, I'm not at my limit." He says, "Say I'm not at my limit," and then his like the ability starts to kind of shred away, and then he kind of goes back in his base form, and he says, "I'm all tuckered out." Right? It almost seems like Nico was leaving his body at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like the spirit of Joy Boy was leaving his body. But maybe that's just what this Gear 5 awakening transformation does. Maybe it like it drains his life force at such a fast pace, right? Now Luffy was already dead before, or he was already borderline dead before he transformed, right? And so, or maybe when the transformation was leaving him, he was just pretty much going back to the state he was at before he transformed, right? And if that's the case, I believe that's maybe Nika potentially leaving his body, or Joy Boy leaving his body. Like what you guys think? Like, I'm curious what you guys thought, because like I feel as though I need time to really sit on this chapter to really gain some of my thoughts, because I'm really like trying to put my thoughts together right now, and it's like it's tough. Stan says, well, we can see that he can access it whenever he wants because he pumps up his heartbeat again. However, I see him using it as a last resort only because of the huge stamina drain. Nah, come on, Bluff. Please stop with the spirit reincarnation. It's so clear that it's not that. Well, it's not clear, really. It's really not clear. Cause like, look at this one part, right? Kaido says, he says, is that you? Or he says something along that line. I've been trying to find that one. But my question to y'all, because y'all said we see that Luffy, because you said, come on, or you said he can access it whenever he wants because he pumps up his heartbeat again. However, is that him pumping his heartbeat? Is the question though? Is that really him? That's able to do that, or is that Nika or Joy Boy pretty much reestablishing that connection to that possession connection? Is that them starting restarting his heartbeat beat? Because at that point he was. I'm trying to look where Kaido says it. He says, "Who are you?" Like like when Luffy's transformation dies off, right? He says, "Who says I'm at my limit?" Huff. And then it says huff huff, and then he goes drained, and he says, I'm all tuckered out. Kaido says, "Who are you?" As if he was like almost talking or fighting or communicating with somebody completely different. And then it's like Luffy says, "Oh yeah, I was dying before this." Wow, it takes a lot of energy. But I can agree that like one way to keep this form in check, right, for here on out. Like I agree with you, Stan, on the aspect of like him not wanting to use it because it being such a stamina drain, right? So it's kind of like something he uses as a last resort. So I definitely agree with you on that one. But this chapter has shown me that there's a lot to this transformation. It's not like a normal transformation, you know. Angel's Room says, I would agree, or Stan, I would agree if Luffy didn't transform back into Gear 5. To me, this is basically Luffy's own hybrid transformation. So you agree with, trying to see where you agree with that. And then Stan says yes because he is confused because Kaido thinks this is a Promethea fruit and not a zone. It's him pumping his heart because he gets in his Gear 2 stance. Let me see what you. Yeah. But this voice is nearly dying out. So it says we get Yamato saying it really is Luffy. It just didn't look like him because his hair and clothes turned white, but his voice is nearly dying out. Right? And so it seems like Luffy is dying, is like literally dying if he don't hold on to this transformation, which is another point I kind of want to talk about in a little bit. And why did he say Pedro? Why do he call out to Pedro? What Pedro got to do with this? What Pedro got to do with this whole thing? Man, this is like one of them times where I kind of probably wish I probably would have read this before the stream because I'm trying to gather my thoughts. So like so much going on in this chapter, so many little gems to talk about, right? And then yeah, Luffy pumps his heart. Are you saying that he are you cuz Cube said I think he's got more influence by the devil fruit's will as long as he doesn't get control of his awakening. Yeah, that and that's pretty much what I'm saying, right? The will of the devil fruit is pretty much controlling him. You know, and I would even say like Luffy could possibly still be borderline dying, right? Cause this part right here when he had to like almost restart his heart, he we get Momonosuke saying, but his voice is nearly dying out, right? So is this transformation pretty much keeping Luffy alive? You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of why I don't think that's kind of why I think this is still something to do with the spirit possessing Luffy's devil fruit. Because I think it's like soon as the it's like the transformation is what's keeping Luffy alive, is what I'm saying. So if it's the transformation keeping Luffy alive, and we know that the awakening is the awakening of the devil fruit, and we know that these zone devil fruits have a will of their own. So it's the devil fruit's will keeping Luffy alive. Is pretty much what I'm saying. Like it's the devil fruit's will keeping them alive. Cause it almost seemed like at this point Luffy was about to die. Like once his once that stamina drain happened, and once he started losing this transformation, we get Yamato and Momonosuke talking about the voice is nearly dying out. So it's like was Luffy about to die if he didn't like restart his heart? You know what I'm saying? Angel's Room said, or hold on, let me get what Cube said first. Cube said, I think he's got more influence by the fruit's will as long as he doesn't get control of his awakening. I see it like Chopper's monster point. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Chopper is more so like his will wasn't like in Monster Point. Chopper's will is not strong enough to to control like the like his monster. The will of the monster within him almost took control. So and I agree with Cube. I think that's probably the best. Like that's probably the best analogy, right? Kind of like Monster Point Chopper before he was able to get control of it. Angel's Room said in TCB scan it says what the hell are you? But who knows? He said Pedro because of Zoroark. Okay, I mean I guess I could get what you're saying the Zoroark, but I don't feel like Kaido. Well, I mean, I guess if you're talking about like he's, why didn't he say the mix? Like he said Pedro specifically though. Pedro Pedro died in the Whole Cake Island arc, right? He should be saying that to Big Mom or somebody. not Kaido. What Kaido got to do with Pedro? Stan says, I think he said Pedro because of the sacrifice he made in order for them to be here fighting. A lot of people made sacrifices for them to be there fighting in Wino specifically. He could have said Yasui. He could have said well, I mean, I guess Yasui probably would have made the most sense because but Pedro died. Pedro's death only really helped them get out of Whole Cake Island. Which, I mean, yeah, they needed to get out of Whole Cake Island in order to get to Wano. Yes. But at that point, when they were in Wano, Pedro's story kind of ended, right? I don't see it. I don't see it, man. But that's what y'all believe. Y'all believe that. Cube said it's because he's facing the Kaido and Big Mom alliance. Still, Angel's Room said Luffy basically doing the same thing as Enel. Luffy doing the same thing as Enel, so I think Luffy going to stay alive. Yeah, I don't think he's going to die. I don't think. Of course, I don't think Luffy's going to die for good, right? Like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying at that point, it was like that man was about to die, right? Maybe this transformation does like have a toll on him that much, which would be a great reason for him not to just use it all willy-nilly. You know, Stan says yes, but why does it have to be a spirit keeping him alive and not just the devil fruit? Plus, we don't know how. I'm talking about the will of the devil fruit, the spirit that lives in the devil fruit, or the will that lives in the devil fruit. You looking too much at semantics now, bro. You're looking way too much at semantics. Because we already know that devil fruits have a will of their own, like they were their own person. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Because we know that Nika, which is the devil fruit that Luffy has, you know, Nika, the sun god. So Nika being a old spirit, right? Like now we don't know how devil fruits were created. You know, one theory is that devil fruits pretty much were created from the people of the Void Century, right? Like maybe that's how. Maybe people in the Void Century learned how to gain abilities through hockey. I don't know, and maybe somehow you know they were turned into devil fruits. You know, now I'm not saying that to, you know, because we don't know that just yet, right? But either way, it was established that devil fruits, especially zone devil fruits, have their own wills. Now, especially with a devil fruit, a special devil fruit such as Sun God Nika, that would probably have a very, very strong will. I would think. You know, a sun god zone compared to like a carnivore zone. You know, like we see with Lucci. You know, we know carnivore zones. They like. I would assume that the will of a carnivore zone affects the person who eats it. You know, now the fact that, you know, let's say Lucci, right? Like it probably only makes it to where you're more aggressive. It just has an impact on your personality. But now in the case of Chopper, who turns Monster Point, right? Chopper had no control of that. You know, And in that specific scenario, I believe that Chopper's devil fruit had full control of, or at least majority control. I'm not gonna say full. It may not always be full. It could be like majority control of it, of the host, right? Of the body, you know. And in this case, I believe that when Luffy died, the devil fruit, the will of the devil fruit, pretty much possessed Luffy's body, because he wasn't, you know, his will, his specific will, since he was already borderline dead, it wasn't really strong enough to act, you know. So the devil fruit took over. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Kind of like when we get weapons, right? Like a gun doesn't have a will. So if you give a gun, if you give like if you somehow infuse a devil fruit into a gun, then that gun would have the will of whatever devil fruit you give it. And kind of going back to Alabasta, that I forget what the gun's name was. It was a dog devil fruit, I think. And the gun had the will of a dog, right? So kind of like that, right? Like I'm not even talking about the whole spirits and stuff. I'm just talking about he was possessed by the devil fruit, the will or the spirit of the devil fruit. Cube says it's more will than a ghost, than a real ghost like spirit. Yes, do say spirit, but it's referring to the fruit's will. And then Angel's Room said, "I'm sorry, I just don't like the idea of Luffy's being controlled or influenced by someone else's will." All right. Sorry you don't like it. Stan says, "Q, but we still don't know how Zone Awakenings work. That doesn't mean that a will inside the devil fruit." We got an idea. We got an idea. Uh, that doesn't mean that a will inside the devil fruit is keeping him alive. Plus, zone users have insane stamina regen. Who's to say that when you awaken? We probably got more knowledge on zone awakenings than anything, right? The prisoners of Impel Down, right? Like we learned that they were awakening zones, and they had like they ain't had no control of themselves. They had zero will, you know. Now I don't know why they're like that. You know, I would assume that maybe they were lobotomized or something, and that made it to where they can be awakened. You know, same with Chopper, right? I would probably say, well, I don't know, right? Like we don't know. Like you're right. We don't know the full aspect of Zone Awakenings, but we do kind of have an idea, you know. Like when Chopper went into Monster Point, you know, he lost all control of his will. His will was not in control whatsoever. It was like a monster, right? So, and that's kind of like what we're comparing, because him, Luffy, and Chopper have the same devil fruit, just two different models, right? Stan says that your stamina regen is also amplified. Angel's Room said, and if this is a zone awakening, I doubt it will have that big of a toll on Luffy's body. At this point, will equals spirit if what you saying ends up true. I mean, it kind of does. Like, look, like Kuzabaro, right? Like is Kuzabaro, right? He talked to Zoro. He pretty much says that swords have, like, cursed swords aren't cursed. They have a strong will, right? They have a will of their own. They're quality swords. He says swords have wills, right? Like quality swords have wills, right? It's almost like the sword is alive. It's almost like the sword is alive. What does something need to be alive, right? what do somebody need? What does humans need to be alive? What do a sword need to be alive? It needs a spirit. Your spirit houses your will. You know, it needs a spirit. If a sword has a will, that must mean it has, in order for something to have a will, it has to have a spirit. Essence, right? You know, like a sword can't have a will and not have like some type, have a life to them. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a life to you. You know, Stan says I can see it like that, but we see that when Luffy transformed after he gets hit by Kaido, he is still the same because he starts questioning himself, like saying, "I thought I lost," so it's still him. I think it's, and that's where that's kind of where I disagree. I think he's there, and I think when he was like losing, when his abilities start fading and Kaido kind of start getting the advantage a little more, I think that's when Luffy's will was kind of, that's when the will of Nika was starting to fade away, and that's kind of my point. That's why I'm starting to believe more about, like, it's not really Luffy 100% in control. You know, like it could have started like maybe like when the battle fought and Luffy came back, it could have been like 75-25, right? Where it's like 75% uh Nika Devil Fruit, 25% Luffy. And then the further the fought went in, it was like 70-30, 65-45, 60-40, 50. And then when he started losing control, it was kind of like the will was kind of leaving, you know, like that's kind of what I'm saying. And it's just speculation. Cube said, just a speculation from what we saw, but even watching Luffy now, you can, the ease Luffy is choosing the moves. Luffy is being influenced by the will of his blade. The speculation is just Luffy is really weak now, and the Devil Fruit's will is giving him help, but it's still Luffy. Like, yeah, I'm not saying Luffy's dead. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, I know a while ago, I believe, and I still do kind of believe Luffy died. I do believe Luffy died, or it was like at that very point where it was like he was dead, but then the Devil Fruit pretty much took over, awakened him, brought Luffy back to life, was probably majority in control of the body, and now we're kind of seeing, you know, the transformation fade away, so we see more of Luffy. And I believe that's kind of how the battle was, you know, during this chapter at least. But yeah, so and then it's like Luffy talking about like, bro, like, or Kaido talking about like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, if why would you ask a man that you clearly know who he is? Like, I don't think it has nothing to do with him being confused with the Devil Fruits. Oh, he would have said, "What's up with your ability?" Like, that's what I would have said. Like, what's going on with your ability? Nah, he said, "Who are you?" Like that. You know what I'm saying? That's what Kaido says. Like who are you? Like, he's fighting somebody completely different. Like they're you know what I mean? That's kind of what I believe. Now that I think about it, though, there could be an explanation to why I think he said Pedro specifically, right? I think the reason why he said Pedro, like, I think all y'all reasonings were wrong. I don't agree with y'all reasonings whatsoever. I'm sorry. I don't. I think it's more of the what Pedro represented, right? Because Pedro died pretty much because he believed, like, we seen all the lead up to Pedro's death, right? He died because he believed he was dying to pretty much allow the dawn. I forget what he kept saying. Like the new dawn come, right? Like that's, and he believed in Luffy. So now Luffy's kind of like in the state where it's like he's like, yeah, you know, this like Luffy pretty much, or Pedro specifically died for me to get to this point, right? To be the dawn, and now I am officially like low key that I'm officially that. I understand what Pedro was talking about. Like, I think that's why I think he finally really understood what Pedro uh was stood for and what he died for. Like that's why I think he said Pedro specifically. You know, him just saying Pedro like there was a reason, and I think it was like he's realizing, you know, and not just Pedro, Momonosuke, Otama, and Kinemon, you know, but Pedro was also one of them. I think Pedro is one of them that kind of pushed him to be that dawn. That's what I believe. I don't know. I don't know. It's still kind of weird. He said Pedro, right? All right. And I don't. So let me ask you guys: do you think this is going to be a? How do you see this fight continuing? Right? How do you see this fight going forward? Are we? Do y'all think it's going to be easy? Do y'all believe it's going to be a coast for Luffy to defeat Kaido? Y'all still think it's going to be a drawn out fight at this point? Cause I'm thinking Luffy is still going to struggle to maintain this form. I'm kind of thinking, right? Because it seemed like it drains a lot of his energy. You know, it drains a lot of his energy. But Angel's Room said the same way Luffy versus Arlong went, and how did that go? Because I don't remember Arlong. I don't remember Luffy having no transformation in that Arlong fight. I don't remember Luffy doing some off the wall stuff to Arlong or anything. I still don't get how you think this has anything to do with Arlong for real. Like I'm still trying to get the connection. I'm trying to see the connection you have between him and Arlong, or this fight with and Arlong. Cube says, or it can be Oda publicly reminding people Pedro is dead. I think we know that Pedro is dead. Or you mean just for all the people who still think Pedro might come back? I think at this point, it's obvious Pedro is dead. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I think there was plenty of times Oda could have. I think there was plenty of times where Oda could have brought Pedro back if he really wanted to. Angel's Room said mid difficulty. Yeah, you're wilding. You're wilding. I don't see that at all. I still don't see that. You know, I still think, because at this point, I still think Luffy is still at near his limit, right? I think Luffy is still near his limit. So I think that's going to play into. I think that's going to play into this fight, because we've seen how it played into this fight this chapter. But Luffy still kind of like he shrugged it off, but it still doesn't change the fact that he's still at his limit. You know, like it's like if you get knocked out and you get back up, and you know you get in the corner and you kind of gain your senses. You're still gonna have that drain, that stamina drain on you. So I think it might come down to where Luffy can can use this form long enough to like really tire out Kaido to push Kaido to his limit, and then it's going to come to a point where Luffy's not going to be able to fight in this form anymore, and then he has to fight at like his base form, like Gear 2 or something. But Kaido at that point will probably be so worn down because of Sun God, the Sun God Nika, or the Gear 5, right? Because of Gear 5, and it makes it to where it makes it to where Luffy could defeat Kaido. You know, like he's actually vulnerable enough to be defeated in Gear 2 or at least base Luffy, right? Like maybe base Luffy. Cube said there's a lot of similarities with Long's fight. Bro, you could make a similarity with almost any fight, man. I'm telling you. Like you could make similarities with almost any fight. Angel's Room said, I'm saying this fight won't be difficult for Luffy like the Arlong fight, and there is a lot of similarities. I'm not denying that there's not similarities. I'm just saying I don't believe it's going to be a mid difficult fight. But I mean, if that's what you think, you know, hey, I seriously doubt that. I don't think that's that. Cube said the goofiness of the fight, Luffy at the breath of death comeback fights Arlong while a bit being childish and then being serious when he sees Nami. So you think he's gonna see Nami and get serious? But the only thing that you said, Cube, in that statement that's actual fact is Luffy being at the brink of death. He you know, everything else you said is just stuff that you're speculating will happen. So I mean, those aren't similarities because like half of what you said is speculation. Half of what you said was speculation. You can't use speculation as similarities. Similarities are stuff that already happened. He also acts goofy in a lot of his fights. I'm still trying to see what y'all saying. Angel Room said Kaido had the white at the end of the chapter. That was a big blow from Luffy. Bro, Kaido had white eyes like in... How many times have Luffy knocked Kaido down and he had white eyes and got back up? Or it looked like, you know, it looked like Kaido probably would have been knocked out for a split second. Cube said Luffy going to get serious when he see Flower Capital. I mean, he better get serious. There's going to have to come to a point where he's going to have to get serious. My question is, does he get serious in the Gear 5 form? Or is it going to be after Gear 5 he has worn off and he can't, like, no longer continue fighting? I look, is this similar to Arlong? Maybe. I'll give y'all that. Maybe. You know, I'm not really debating that. Y'all could keep fighting that fight all y'all want. I personally don't. I don't care enough to argue that point. I don't see it being no mid difficult. That's all. I'm sorry. That's a stretch for me. Cube said not a direct similar fight, but there are small similarities at least from all his previous fights. The Arlong one seemed to be similar. And he fought childish against Arlong. He fought childish against Enel at one point, if I remember. He fought childish against Crocodile. And Luffy also in the Arlong fight, he didn't have some random power up that possibly affected his personality either. to fight more childish, you know. And I'm not saying there ain't similarities. I'm sure Oda used some similarities in the Arlong fight. I just don't I just don't want to use the Arlong fight similarities to justify him mid difficult and like him mid diffing Kaido, you know, because I don't believe he's mid diffing Kaido, you know. I don't think he has enough, you know. I think he's at his. I'm not saying he's at his end, but I think it's going to be a point where he's not going to be able to rely on Gear 5 and he's going to have to fight Kaido straight up. But at that point, Kaido will be a lot more weakened to be softened up for defeat. Still, I think it's going to be a tough fight, though, you know. But Angel's Room believe it's going to be mid-diff, so, you know. You did answer my question, so I can't be mad that you answered my question, even if I disagree with it. Angel's Room said he fought childish against Arlong like he is right now with Kaido. Q said you misread. That's the Arlong fight. You're confused with Kaido's fight, not a theory. If it already happened. No, I get what you're saying, but no, I get what you're saying. I misread. I didn't misread what you said. I read what you're saying, but the context you used it in. You said you specifically said they're similar, and I asked why were they similar, right? I said what made them similar, and you said just speculation from what we saw. But when watching Luffy now, you can, or no, that's not what you said. I don't remember what you said, but. You said something about seeing Nami and then getting serious and then I'm trying to find what you said. Just make sure I'm not, because maybe I am tripping. So I want to read it with in context. That's the only reason why I'm looking. He said the goofiness of the fight. Luffy at the brink of death comes back, fights Arlong while a bit childish, and then going more serious when he sees Nami. And yeah, you like you said that when I asked how are they similar. So based on that context, I'm like, you know, yeah, that those things happened in the Arlong fight, but you know they haven't happened in the Kaido fight. That was my point. They didn't happen. That's and Cube said, nah, it won't be mid difficulty. Mid difficulty. What? Andrew said, I'm sorry, it's just the way Oda making it look this chapter. But how many times does he do that though? How many times have we got a chapter where it looks like Luffy has the advantage only for Kaido to come the next fight and turn it around or brush it off like, yeah, that ain't nothing. And I'm not saying Kaido's going to brush it off that easy. I'm not saying that either. Like, I don't think it's going to be like before when Luffy was knocking Kaido around and Kaido would be like, oh, whatever, you know. But what I'm saying is, you know, the end of the chapter, like we've got plenty of chapters like that. That doesn't, you know, that's all I'm saying. We got plenty of chapters like that. And then Andrew Room said, after all this, Luffy at his peak strength. I don't think Luffy's at his peak right now. I don't even think he's at his peak with using Gear 5 at the moment. Because I don't think he can maintain it enough to make it a mid-diff fight. If he can maintain it, then okay, I'll be wrong. If I'm wrong about him maintaining it, and if he can keep up this Gear 5, then yes, I can agree that it could be a mid-diff fight, possibly. But I don't believe that he can keep this gear, this new gear. You know, I think he could keep it long enough to deliver enough damage to Kaido to pretty much even the playing field in base form. But even in that situation, I think it's going to be kind of drawn out, or it's going to be a hard fight. You know. Cube said the best example is Luffy created the Gumu fishnets on Arlong and called him a sardine. He just jumped rope Kaido. Luffy's goofiness. I mean, look. I already agree with you. There's aspects of the fight that yes are very similar. But if you look at the battle as a whole, right? If you look at the battle as a whole, they're not. I don't want to say they're not that similar, but it like the Wino part has been way. You know what I'm saying? Like Kaido, like Luffy defeated Kaido already a bunch of times. That already make the fight that much different than Arlong. Arlong. Sorry, I'm sorry. I had to enunciate it because, but Arlong had like maybe one defeat on Luffy, and it was more of a self-inflicted defeat on Luffy. Like when Luffy stuck his feet in the ground, and then Arlong just kind of picked him up and threw him in the ocean. I mean, that was I guess you could say that was kind of similar to Kaido knocking Luffy off of Onigashima and Luffy falling into the water as well. So, you know, there are aspects of Arlong, but I still don't think that's going to be a reason that it's going to be a mid-diff fight. That's all I'm saying. I'm not arguing with y'all on the differences. Or the similarities. I personally don't even really care about the similarities as much as y'all do. It's just y'all kind of really want to emphasize the similarities. I'm just saying it's not going to be a mid-diff fight. I don't care how similar the fight is. Angel Room said, if it ain't mid-diff, then Luffy losing. I don't think that's the case either. Cube says, like mid-diff to me is like what Luffy did to Hody Jones. Like that was a mid-diff fight, you know. Like it only lasted as long as it did because, you know, there were, you know, it was kind of the situation, you know, where Hody had the advantage of being in water, so there was points where he kind of had the advantage. But other than that, anytime it was a fight, it was just straight mid-diff, you know. But I don't see, you know, Luffy treating Kaido as Hody Jones though. Luffy coming out of this like partially dead. I don't think Luffy's even in a state to where where it would be a mid diff, because I think Luffy's still struggling to maintain his current form. You know. Cube says it will be a tough fight for Luffy. I can't condone a mid diff ending. Yeah, that'd be like, look, if Luffy mid diffs Kaido at this point, then I don't know if I have any hope for the rest of the series going forward. I don't. As far as Luffy having a fight, right? Now I think there's some things you could throw in to keep it interesting. That's why I disagreed with Angel's Room talking about that all his fights for here on out are going to be easy. I think there are things you can add that will make this somewhat make all his fights here on out challenging. But and that's not even talking about like the stamina drain that this New Gear has, uh, you know, this awakening and slash New Gear has. But say like if we learn that Blackbeard or Eam it is they have like the moon god, like if they have a moon god, right? We've done theories of talking about this. So just kind of going off of those, piggybacking off of that. If we come to find out that Eam is the moon god, or Blackbeard's Yami Yami no Mi is really uh the brother of the Gumu Gumu no Mi, where it's also a Hito Hito no Mi type moon god, like it's the opposite, right? Like if we learn that, then that might change the game, right? Like Blackbeard, because now you talking about Blackbeard having the Goro Goro no Mi, the Yami Yami no Mi, that's also the moon god. Or if let's say he does have a devil a moon god devil fruit, that's how you keep it interesting. Or if you just give Blackbeard 3 devil fruits, he doesn't need to be the moon god. He has enough devil fruits to where he could do so much to pretty much challenge and compete with Luffy in his sun god Nika form, right? So I think there's ways to keep things in check. And let's say Eam just has a super hacks devil fruit as well. It's like, now if let's say somebody like Akainu, remember everybody thought Akainu was gonna be the one of the final opponents. Akainu, on the other hand, I don't know if he'd be able to handle everything Luffy's throwing at him. Which could play to Akainu not being the final villain and Akainu end up being the ally, and even though a lot of people not going like that. But I'm just saying, there's the sword connections, I wouldn't blow that off. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but I wouldn't blow it off. Q said it wasn't a defense for the similarity, just to highlight the goofiness we love about Luffy. I mean, I don't. Okay, whatever. Sure. I'm gonna leave that alone. I gotta leave stuff alone with some of y'all, because sometimes I just I don't be trying to stick to certain topics or not certain topics but certain points, because y'all be like firm on them points, and I'm like, it's just gonna have to be you know what I mean. I'm gonna just let you have that one. I'm just saying I don't get why it was necessary to bring it up. If we was talking similarities and I'm asking you like tell me some similarities, and you bring that up and I'm like, okay. It's all good though, Q. We cool. Just saying. I mean, I be having to do that to Angel sometimes, man. Angel he be honing in on certain points. Like I'm like, yeah, man. I think Zoro's sheath on his sword's going to turn green, and it's like, why would it turn green? I'm like, all right, Angel, calm down, bro. It's not that serious. It was just a part of a bigger theory. Angel Room said, I'm not saying Luffy versus Arlong is the reason it's going to be mid-diff. I'm just using it as an example for a mid-diff fight. Bluff got funny as fuck. He said, if it mid-diff, I have no faith for the future. Bro, like, I'm saying, you can't take a character who's looked at, who's been built as the world's strongest creature. I would probably say the only person who could possibly be stronger than Kaido is Eam. I don't think Shanks is stronger than Kaido. I'm sorry, I don't. But I would say Kaido, and possibly in the series Blackbeard, I think will probably be stronger than Kaido as well. But I'm like, bro, if you mid diff a guy who is by the general consensus of everybody in that world, right? Or This is what people in the world has talked about Kaido, right? Who's looked at as the strongest creature in the world, man. Ocean, land, sea, ocean, or land, sea, air, whatever. Strongest creature. And he gets mid diff because of a power up. It's like, bruh, we're like, who's going to fight him? Like I could say in the series Blackbeard might be stronger than Kaido, but I don't know if he's going to be like mid diffing Kaido. I would still even say in the series Kaido or Blackbeard would probably have trouble with Kaido. Eam possibly would. I would still think would have trouble with Kaido. Like Eam could possibly win if come to find out Eam is super strong, right? And it's like, I mean, you would really have to make Eam super strong, right, to justify mid diffing Kaido, and same with Blackbeard. You would really have to make them like they have to be strong enough to mid diff Kaido as well, pretty much. And Angel said after 1 week of actually training his Gear 4th gears, Luffy was able to use it with no drawback. But I can, and I get that. I do. I really do. It's like the same with Gear 2. Gear 2 had that drawback on them. But I believe that this is a much different thing. I don't think Gear 5th is the same situation as Gear 2. I don't think it's the same situation as Gear 4. So the drawback to this could be more of a life thing because like I've already said, I believe that it's more of a spiritual wake, like it's more of a spiritual thing, because before we got to this, we get Zunisha saying Joy Boy has arrived, right? And that means that something fundamentally, like even if you don't want to believe in the whole possession thing, that means something fundamentally changed about Luffy with this new gear and awakening. Something fundamentally. So this new awakening in gear somehow fundamentally changed Luffy. That's why I kind of believe that it has something to do with like the will of the devil fruit having some type of hold on Luffy. Some type of possession on Luffy. I'm not saying a full on 100% possession, but still somewhat of possession nonetheless. Some type of influence on Luffy, right? Because you guys, y'all don't like the word possession. I say possession. Oh, don't say possession. If I say influence, yeah, I like influence. I inherently mean the same thing. And this is what I be talking about, semantics. Y'all be like, oh, man. Come on now. y'all be killing me, man. Y'all be killing me, bro. I'm telling you. But yeah, like I was saying, this has some fundamental thing. Now, based on that, and I think this could have graver consequences than just wearing out someone's body. Gear 2 is pretty much Luffy expanding his arteries or his blood to force more air and blood. Force more air, air travels through your blood, through the blood cells. If you could push more blood through your veins and your arteries, then more air gets to your heart. So it make, what I'm saying? That's how Gear 2 works. It forces his heart to have to overload, right? To overload. But he somehow was able to train it to where, it didn't hurt, I guess, have that type of drawback on him, right? Gear 4 is more of a, through the muscle, right? Gear 3 is through the bone. He blows through the bone, cause his arms to expand. Gear 4 is through the muscle. Or maybe they're switched. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. Maybe I'm wrong. But one of them's through the bone, one of them is through the muscle. Now, Gear 5, on the other hand, this awakening is more of a, I believe, is more of a spiritual thing. It's more of a spirit thing. That's why I keep saying spirit. It's more of a spiritual thing, right? It's more, it has something to do with Nika. It has something to do with the will of the devil fruit itself. Almost controlling Luffy or awakening Luffy or enchant, like I don't know. It's something along. It's something to do with the will of this devil fruit. Is at least what I'm thinking, right? The will of the devil fruit affecting Luffy, you know. And when you look at your will, your spirit, you know that it all has to do with something with your life as well, right? So maybe it's actually using like life force energy. So when he's using this, he's using his spirit, like something along the line with him using his spirit or something, right? At least that's kind of what I'm getting, right? Like that's what I'm thinking. It's something to do with his spirit, his spirit, his will, all that being affected by the will and the spirit of the devil fruit. So maybe it could, in a sense, push him closer to death every time he uses it. You know, because when he was able to activate it, he was already closer. He was already close to death, if he wasn't already dead. You know, so maybe every time he uses it, he has to be near death, or he has to be in a state where he's near death. I don't really know. We don't, maybe we'll get more explanation later. I don't really know, but I think y'all, I kind of think y'all really discounting the whole spiritual part of this whole situation going. Angel's Room said, but yeah, I don't believe that. I don't know if I believe that just normal training is how you defeat the drawbacks of this new gear. Angel said he said that was narrator talking. Oda never gave Kaido an Oda box for the strongest creature. What do you think the narrator is? Who do you think the narrator is? The narrator is the one who pretty much speaks for Oda. He's the one telling us the story. He's the one telling us what's going on in ways that we don't understand. That's what narrator is like. They call those boxes narrator boxes. I mean, some people call them Oda boxes, but they're also called narrator boxes. Like when we get those world's strongest creatures and stuff, And he said his title is King of Beasts. By the way, Zunisha only recognized Joy Boy because of the Drums of Liberation, which only started playing after Luffy's awakening. So I think Joy Boy is just the title given to whoever awakens Nika Devil Fruit. Yeah, we talked about that. Then we talked about that, about Joy Boy being just kind of a name. Yeah, I talked about that. I don't disagree with that. I'm not, but regardless, even if that's not Joy Boy, I haven't even been saying nothing about Joy Boy. I mean, I might have said Joy Boy just kind of as like a title for Luffy, but even then there was still some change within Luffy, some spiritual level change for Luffy to have to say Joy Boy is here. Obviously those drums of liberations obviously must have to arrive when Joy Boy arrives. So, you know. I mean, it really don't recognize. It don't really, and it don't matter how he recognized. It's just the fact that he knew that Joy Boy was back, and that there was a change within Luffy. Like there was a significant change in Luffy after he supposedly died. she didn't say that. She didn't say she felt Joy Boy presence. She says I hear the drums of liberations after 800 years. Joy Boy is here. Okay, but oh my goodness. This is see, bro. This is one of them times where you just want to argue semantics of something. This is one of them times where you just. It's like one of them times where you really just like, hey man, let's just argue about. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. All right, I went back to chapter 1043. I hear the drums of liberation for the first time in 800 years. He is here. Who is? Joy Boy. I mean, I never. Okay. I mean, I get that, but it doesn't. Yeah, that's what it says. That's what it says. Angel Room said, like for Mihawk and Whitebeard, they have Oda for their title, not normal dialogue from the narrator. Either way, the narrator is just as important as the Oda box. It doesn't matter that he didn't get an Oda box. The narrator speaks for the narrator speaks for Oda. He's telling us what's going on with the story. When you watch a movie and it gives you a narrator, when there's a narrator, think of Shrek. They're pretty much telling you the aspects of the story, some aspects that you may not necessarily understand just by watching the story. They're pretty much if the author was reading to you himself, that's the narrator. I mean, a lot of times it's not the narrator, that the author isn't the narrator, but that's kind of the purpose of the narrator. He's kind of like to speak for the narrator in certain situations. Having the Oda box, if hey, I don't. It doesn't matter if he. It doesn't matter if he ain't have an Oda box. The narrator is just as much of a confirmation as Oda. But yeah. Anyway, y'all, man. At this point, we going in circles. You know. Um. This was a crazy chapter. You know, it was kind of it was a tough. It was a tough. It was kind of a tough chapter to talk about. Honestly, so much stuff to go about. So many little things that I feel as though I got to reread this chapter to really kind of get a grip of this. I might have to like come out with do another stream, because it's just this chapter it's just so much, man. It was just so much for real, and it was hard for me to really get my thoughts together, you know, especially with this live, because there's just so many little things I've seen in this chapter that gave me something, and I couldn't even really give it put it into words, I guess, you know what I'm saying? Because I had to sit there. It's like some stuff that I feel as though I had to sit on to really come with a better thought out explanation. So yeah, sorry y'all guys. I'm also getting used to this whole reaction format. You know, I'm usually reading the chapter like once, probably like usually twice before I do the stream, and then I'm reading it while I'm on stream. So by that time I have 3 read throughs, right? Andrew says, sorry man, I'm very stubborn. You are stubborn. It's all good. I'm not mad about it. I'm just like, bro, like, I feel so sometimes we just be arguing for like 15, 20 minutes on some of the most remedial parts of of a situation, right? And a lot of times it's just because of semantics. You know what I'm saying? It's semantics. Um, like I've already talked about like spirits and wills. I've talked about this before, but I feels like I had to keep explaining what I mean. Um, you said yeah, but the older box shows its fact. Even the narrator questioned the title of strongest. Sorry, man. Yeah, but the older box shows its fact. But even then, like, just because of. So you're telling me when we got, cause I'm pretty sure we got an older box for the Gummel Gummel no Me, right? Did we get a older box for the Gummel Gummel no Me? Cause if we did, and come to find out what we found out, then the older boxes aren't always fact either. But again, that just but still, the narrator, When did the narrator question Mihawk? Like, when did the narrator question Mihawk? Like, that's what I'm curious. And there's people who don't believe Mihawk is the strongest swordsman. He got his older box. Because people think Shanks is stronger than Mihawk, and Shanks is a swordsman as well. You know what I mean? And questioning the title doesn't mean he didn't. It's not like he flat out said that Mihawk isn't the greatest. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he flat out, just because he questioned doesn't mean, what I'm saying. It doesn't mean he's saying Mihawk wasn't the greatest. I gotta see where he questioned it too. You got to show me where he, or point out when he questioned that title. Cube said crazy but dope chapter. Took me three rereads to fully comprehend the chapter. Yeah, man, like this chapter was tough to react to live. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. It's just like I don't even fully have my head wrapped around a lot of what went on this chapter. Like, this is my initial reaction, but that's why it's hard to give you guys like full comprehensive like opinions on some of the stuff that happened. I was kind of like I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that happened on this. Um, Angel Room said, saying they say Kaido is the strongest creature, not saying he is the strongest creature. The narrator said, the narrator said, he listed all of Kaido's stats. He said he cannot be defeated 1-on-1, and or no, he didn't say that. He said he's been defeated a total of 7 times, which isn't a lot, which really isn't. A lot of people act like that's so many times. Like, Luffy's lost more than 7 times, and at the end of this series, he might be the strongest creature, or he might be the strongest person. He may be, you know what I'm saying? So, that's not saying much, saying 7 times. And then they said if in a fight, always bet on Kaido. In a 1-on-1, always bet on Kaido. Like, that's what was said. And then there was also somewhere that said something about him being strongest creature, land, air, and sea. Like, I don't have this stuff right in front of me. That's why I always tell y'all gotta like pull some of this stuff up, right? For me, so I could see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, that's pretty much what the narrator implied, that he was the strongest. You know, that's pretty much he's the one who speaks for Oda. I believe the narrator over anybody else. Put it like that. Aside from Oda himself, I believe the narrator has more credibility on any topic they say, like, now I could get the fact that Oda could use the narrator at times to kind of seed some doubt in certain situations, but like in most cases, in most cases, if the narrator says it, I find their statement way more credible than somebody else's, like a normal fan, or you know what I'm saying. So I'm just saying, who um Angel Room said, "Who's they? They as in you, as in anybody, any other One Piece fan, anybody, anybody, you, any other One Piece fan, me, whoever." I'm talking about anybody who sits there and tries to like dispute like what the narrator says. Anybody who tries to dispute the what the narrator says, I find the narrator's statements more credible than their statements. That's what I'm saying. Aside from Oda, or like let's say somebody on Oda's team, aside from them, you know what I mean, those are probably the only people where it like versus, whoever's narrating the story. Um Angel Room said, "Great stream. Sorry for my stubbornness, bro. You don't gotta apologize for your stubbornness. I know I call you I know I might call you stubborn, but I like your stubbornness. It actually calls for dialogue, right? I know I'm not mad. I'm not. I know I act mad, like I'm getting upset with you for doing this. I'm not mad. I'm not mad when y'all do that stuff. I like when y'all do stuff. It's just sometimes I'll just try. I gotta move on, so I gotta kind of try to nip it in the butt. You know what I mean? So I might say that to kind of get y'all to stop talking. that's why I might come off like that, like just leave it alone. But I don't mind the stubbornness. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind it, bro. You're good. You're okay. You're good. You know what I'm saying? It's no beef. It's all good. Uh, like don't ever apologize for standing on your argument, man. Don't ever apologize for that. Angel Room said no Oda box for the gum gum fruit. It was just Shanks. Yeah. And I'm not doubting the Oda boxes either. I'm not doubting Oda boxes. I'm just saying like the narrator is pretty much the Oda boxes. They're, to me, the narrator is just as credible as Oda boxes, because it's in a sense, because the Oda boxes, they narrate, right? They narrate. A lot of the narration comes from Oda boxes. You know what I'm saying? Um, but like, I will say this: when it comes to the story, I take the narrators, like what they say, and then I also consider what people in the world say. Like, if let's say Garp says something about Kaido, or he says something about some other character, I'm gonna take his word, because he probably, there's things he probably know that we don't know, right? Or that the Oda box or a narrator hasn't given us. So I take like what's said within the story among characters. I mean, you also gotta look at it like this. Like, I'm not saying I'll fully take what they say as 100%, because a lot of times they don't know. They just might go off of hearsay. But in some cases, you got to look at like who's saying it and what context they're saying it as. You know what I mean? And that's when you come up. You know, like if Garp says like Kaido is, and I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying Garp said this, but if Garp did say like, yeah, Garp or Kaido has the power to destroy countries or something, I gotta take that serious, because I mean, there's something that pushes Garp to say something like that. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the narrator, I kind of take the narrator more. Their words is more credible than the characters in the story, because they're pretty much telling us the story. They're telling us the story. So when the narrator says like, "Hey, uh, if the narrator says Kaido has became or Blackbeard has became the strongest pirate ever, I mean, there must be something to what the narrator's saying, because he's not saying like not the strongest pirate now, but strongest pirate ever. Just because Shanks says he's the strongest pirate ever, I'll take the narrators. Like if you really had like like let's say this, let's say the narrator at one point says Blackbeard became the strongest pirate ever, and then you get a quote from Shanks saying he's the strongest pirate ever. I'm gonna take the narrator's side over Shanks. You know what I mean? But yeah, let me wrap up these chats so we can wrap this stream up, y'all. I'm sorry for the stream. It was I know after reading it, trying to get my thoughts together, bro, it's just so much of this chapter. Like I have to read this chapter at least 2 more times, because I feel as though I can't fully wrap my head around some of the little stuff and what they mean, right? What they mean. Cube said, great stream, man. Hey, I appreciate that, Cube. Angel Room said, no, he questions Kaido title of strongest of creature. Mihawk is the strongest swordsman. For everything he says, they say, if you read or rewatch it. Oh, you saying that's what he's saying? For everything he say, they say. Okay. I get what you mean now when you said they say. For everything he said, they say. Bruh, if they say that, then that mean Kaido's reputation. Kaido has a reputation, and you get that high of a reputation. You got that reputation for a reason. Uh, They said, who's they? Know what I'm saying? They as in they. It was kind of the timing of you saying that. I thought you was asking me like who's they when I was saying about the narrator and people. I thought that's what you meant. My bad, bro. I apologize for coming at you like that. I thought you was talking about the they I was talking about. Know what I'm saying? Who is they? Say will win the creature. Like for Whitebeard, it is Whitebeard strongest man. Mihawk, strongest swordsman. Kaido, they say he's the strongest creature, but narrator isn't there to state fact, but he just there to explain things. I'll go look at all that up again. I'll go look at everything again. I don't want to go back and forth about Kaido being the strongest or not. But yeah. So it was a good chapter. I know my thoughts were all kind of all over the place with this chapter. I'm not really used to this format, so it's going to be a little rough at first, But I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna stick with the reaction thing, but it's going to be a little rough at first because one, I'm not used to this format. Two, this was a heavy chapter, man. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff, and there's stuff I've seen in the chapter that kind of connects with some of the stuff I talk about. It's just being able to connect them is the tough part. But yeah, y'all, you guys let me know what you think about in this chapter. If or think about. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about in the chapter. Right? If y'all disagree with something I said, I know. I was kind of all over the place this stream, so maybe there's a lot of stuff y'all disagree with me on. I get it. Let me know in the comments. Put a time down there so I know what you're talking about, like what part you're talking about, if you disagree or agree with me. Because, these streams are pretty long, so I say a lot of stuff. So y'all going to have to point out to what I say. But we going to improve on these reaction streams, these chapter reaction streams. I'm going to definitely... get better as time goes Yeah. But yeah, anyway, Angel Room said, but it's just rumor. Great stream. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, shout out to all you guys. Shout out to Angel's Room. Shout out to Cube. Shout out to Sozo. Shout out to Desness the Dorf. You know, Desness just came through and dipped, man. Him and Sozo. I ain't man. I get it though. I get you. You know. Shout out to Stan. Stan kind of dipped out early too, man. What happened to Stan? You know, I hope I ain't put him off by disagreeing with him. Yeah, like bro, like I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry y'all, man. It was a tough stream, man. My mind was all over the place with this stream, especially after reading this chapter. Great chapter, but you know, I still gotta wrap my head around it. But yeah, anyway, you know, it's your boy Sean P, the Bluff Guide. Make sure you like the stream. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Also subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Y'all need to subscribe like right now. That's all I'm gonna say. Also, if you're looking for a One Piece community, we have the One Piece Discord. We have the One Piece Facebook group. All of these will be in the description box below. And again, let me know your thoughts on this chapter. If you disagree or agree with me on a certain part, put a timestamp. Like, put a timestamp down so I know what you're talking about. Anyway, I'm out here. Y'all take it easy.